This is Lauren.
This is Trey.
And this
is the Partnership Podcast.
On this week's episode, we are talking about non-erotic arousal and then the sex that you want to have.
How'd you sleep?
I slept okay. I had dreams, but I slept okay. I definitely didn't want to wake up like during our alarm. That stunk. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this and this before this. I didn't do any of that shit. Slept in like a child.
Yeah, we got good snuggles in though. Mm-hmm. That was nice. Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have anything in particular you want to talk about?
You mentioned non-sexual foreplay.
Yeah. Okay.
And like how valuable we got to talk non-sexual foreplay.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. First of all, we haven't talked about sex in far too long.
No.
It's been far too long.
It's been a while.
Yeah, how did this come up? Do you remember I think I had gone over to our favorite local pizza joint to just do some journaling to come back to myself. You joined me over there. You were going to watch some football and I was going to journal. And then halfway through, you just kind of leaned in. We were hardly talking. And you said, "Psst, I prepped coffee." Mm-hmm. And I think I said then, like literally it like arouses me. It is such a turn on that we do these little things for one another that are in essence foreplay, because they're these little like, it's like buying flowers except so much better. I understand that they're acts of service, and so we can, I don't know, kind of like quantify it with that and say, sure, these things might not mean a lot to everybody, but there's definitely non-sexual foreplay that everybody could think about and discuss with their partner. So I'd love to talk about that today. Is there anything? You're so much better. Let's also say this. Sorry, audience. Trey is so much better at this type of thing than I am. You have really coached me up. What is something that you think that I do for you that is non-sexual foreplay? See, I knew he was going to draw a blank because it's like, you don't do much, girl.
No, I'm not going to say that you don't do much, girl, on camera. Or your face. I'd never say that to your face. Does it work for men? Mm-hmm. It does?
Ooh, but this has come up with clients recently. That act of receiving again. The act of wanting to be the protector provider and having a really hard time receiving, whether it's oral sex or whether it is literally an ease of burden. Mm-hmm. Because there's this fine line between, no, that's my job, and thank you. Thank you.
Okay, when I got you your oat milk and kombuchas yesterday and you didn't ask, does that like turn you on sexually?
Yes.
It does?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it is noticing something I need and taking joy in it. I think if it felt begrudgingly, if you did it begrudgingly, it wouldn't be a turn on. But when you're like, "Pow," and send me a picture.
Yeah.
Especially with a joke.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. It's like, you know what it says to me? It says, "I was thinking of you." Yeah. It says, "I was thinking of you," which I think works for any love language or style of initiation. It says, I was on your mind while you were at the grocery store. And that is hot to me.
Got it.
Yeah. What about when... For you, it might work even better when you ask me to do something. So when you, laundry day is Sundays. And when, I remembered to do the white towels. You had said you wanted to do the white towels.
Yeah.
And then you had to rush out of the house because I think we had sex for too long. And you were late.
Yeah.
That it was Monday. I mean, it was Sunday morning. It's not my tingle time. But I remembered to do the white towels for you. And I put them in. Like I started your laundry.
And you sent me a picture.
How did that feel?
That was so fucking awesome. But did it like make my peen like tingle? I don't know if it made my peen tingle though, but it was amazing. Like, thank you.
I don't mean it like makes you want to have sex when you're on the golf course. I mean, do these things lead to more open-heartedness, more...
Yeah, okay,
Does it make
yeah.
is the door open for arousal?
Yes. All right. Light bulb. Yes. Where it's, I feel well taken care of. And then when it is sexy time. Yeah. Okay. I get it. I get
I
it.
don't mean like
Well,
you
well,
find a
You're now,
golfer.
but your thing, no. I mean, no, I'm not trying to,
You're like, now I'm aroused.
no, I'm not trying to seduce men on a golf course. That's
Right.
not why I'm there.
That would be a beautiful place. Talk about the beautiful rendezvous people could have. Okay, sidetrack. When you sent me the picture of the kombuchas and the oat milk, no, I didn't want to like jump your bones right then and there.
But it did actually turn you on sexually?
No, it just clears. You know what it's like? It's like going, it's like I'm here, you're there. We're across the room. A faithful audience member got to sit in this podcast room the other day, and she said, I didn't realize you were so far away.
And far away is like 4 feet.
We can't reach each other,
We
though.
can reach each other. You have long arms. Check it out.
I cannot reach you.
Okay, 3 feet.
Anyway,
So 5 feet away.
for me, acts of service, whatever we want to term that, okay? That type of foreplay, okay, which is kind of a thinking of you text, right? A kind of like, hey, you're in my mind text, clears away a path to each other. So like it's overgrown and we've got like a thing that we're like slicing, a machete.
She's weed whacking right now.
I'm
Oh
weed
no,
whacking.
you're in the jungle.
I'm
so
in the
you're-
jungle. I got a
You're
machete.
macheting right now.
And I am macheting
Keep going.
my way to you
Uh-huh.
throughout the day by saying, hey, you are important to me. And I see you. I see you even when you're not in my bed in this sexual object that I desire. And I think this is very interesting because for centuries, women have just been the objects of sexual desire, not subjects who desire. And so it gets weird because sometimes we feel like we're just this like hunk of meat, which at times can be exciting, right? If we're wanting that, if we want to feel desirable, great. But at times it can feel like, wait, hold up. I am a person connected to these sexual organs. And when you haven't talked to me all day, when you haven't lightened my load, when you haven't asked how my day is, no, I don't want to be just the object of your desire right now. That feels very cold and impersonal when it's not wanted. And those little things, weed whack their way to me. It just keeps the path clear.
Machete. Baby, we're using a machete for this.
All right, machete. We have a yard. The grass grows, the weeds grow, right? If you don't keep it up, it will become overgrown. There's a house up on the main street right here that we've said like, oh my gosh, that house has become overgrown this summer. It's like no one has lived there. You can barely get to the front door.
Okay, so how do men get in trouble with this? Where it's like they get into a monogamous relationship or they get married and then, you know, the stressors of life happen and they want to come home and they want to have sex because maybe that's how they've been like raised to think that's how it works. So how do men get in trouble with their wives?
Yeah, so we're speaking heterodynamics here, but
Sure.
I think this could apply for anyone. I work with folks of all different like sexual orientations, and this same exact thing happens because we remodeled something somewhere. And I first want to caveat with this as well. Some people use sex for connection. And so I don't want to like shame somebody who is like, but I want to connect with my wife, my husband, my lover, my partner. I hear you. But yes, let's go back to the real meat of your question, which is how do we get in trouble? I think it's that we stopped the pursuit. We stopped the dating. We stopped the chase. Esther Perel says to love is to have, to desire is to want. I say that curiosity is the key to intimacy, that I want to be curious to you. I want to be someone who is all the facets of me. And I have physical, tangible needs. And you meeting those is interesting to me. So somebody else might have the tangible need of quality time, for instance, okay? That is not so much mine. Is it yours? Do you have any? Is quality time on your love language at all?
It's there. It's somewhere.
Okay. We love a lot of alone time.
Yeah,
so
I
this
love
doesn't
going
come
out
up.
and then coming together. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
this
there.
doesn't come up a lot with us. Ooh, Alison Armstrong has relationship structures. We'll do that next time. That's fun. But so for someone else, it might be more important that they have a time for a daily walk. That's just them. Or sometimes you'll come sit down next to me in the morning when I'm doing my morning pages and you'll like meditate next to me. You know, like we'll share space. That's what quality time is usually, just shared space. And so if someone in a partnership where they knew their partner really had the love language of some quality time, a way to weed whack their way to them,
Machete.
their way to them would be, to just make sure there's some time. And again, with quality time, folks, they just want to be near you. They just like want good, solid time with you.
Okay, let's flip it around where it's like there's a woman and she's constantly trying to have sex with her husband. Constantly trying to be made love to. But he's like, I'm busy, I can't do it right now. Or it's like, I'm not in the mood. What do you say to that? I know it sounds joking and condescending.
It's so not joking and condescending. I
Because
work with
I
these
don't
couples.
do that.
Except in the night times.
No, I mean,
Yes.
I don't joke and condescend.
You are,
Not on this anymore. It's not happening anymore.
you're serious now? Yeah. You know, sadly, I'm going to throw you under the bus. When we make fun of that thing, when we say, there's no men who do that, the men who do feel that way feel silenced. So this is not you doing it, but I work with these clients and they're hurting and they're hurting badly. And several of my clients in this situation right now, we've really we start to unpack the best sex they ever did have. And the best sex they ever did have is usually vacation sex where there's no obligations. These humans who are like, no, I can't, are usually really in love with their partners and feel a really big burden to care for them. And before we make fun of them, I think we need to really look at where along the lines they took on so much of the burden. And so with these folks, we unpack how to ask for help, how to ask for what you need. Usually they are also really kind people who don't like taking. You know how we talk about 3-minute game? And that one question is, how do you want to touch me for 3 minutes? That taking quadrant, right? Taking for your own enjoyment of pleasure. Usually in their stories somewhere, somebody took either from them or they watched a man take from a woman. And they're not going to do that. They are not going to do that. They did not have that patterned healthily. So instead, they are just going to serve. Serve.
Okay.
So to them, the invitation to sex feels like an obligation for sex.
Got it. Where it's like another thing you have to do versus something you get to do or want to do.
And they will say to me,
wow, excuse
I
me.
spend my whole day caring for her. Why does she want this from me too? And it should break our fucking hearts, because it is not that they are not attracted to their wives. They love this person more than I've ever seen a person love a person. That's what's so cool about my work, because most of my clients come in, they fucking love each other.
Okay, so when the work output gets too skewed for one person or another, that's when kind of sexual attraction diminishes, where it's like, I have to do all of these things for this. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there.
You've been there. I've been there. I think most of the audience has. When we feel like this partnership is less a partnership,
And
more
yeah,
a servanthood.
Yeah. It's like I feel like the maid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we know that sometimes that happens because we're not asking for help.
Sure.
Right? Sometimes it's because we're not taking what we need.
We try our damnedest to make sure that we don't lord things over our head.
Yeah.
And I try my damnedest to make sure that I don't lord things over you, because I saw that modeled at a young age and I rejected it. Where it's like, this is fucked. What happens in partnership where one person is responsible for doing all the homemaking, the other one's responsible for going out and like earning money? Because does it happen where it's like, well, I earn the money, I get to call the shots?
Yeah. You know, we were playing with recently giving like titles, you know, to the different roles that we all play in the house. And I've been doing this with a lot of clients, and it's become a really fun activity. So we were even teasing, I think on the last podcast, about you being chief wellness officer. And I'm not kidding about that. I think you literally are. And when we start to give out these roles that we would give in corporations, because they are serious roles, right? We start to realize just how important they are. So for instance, if you were saying like, you know, there's a person taking care of the house and then there's a person going out to work. If we gave that person taking care of the house the true roles that really maybe they hold, right? Like head chef, director of linens and maintenance, right? Like something at a hotel, right? Like where that is no joke. Then, just like we do in this house, the person in charge of it is not necessarily doing all the work. So even if there's a person going out who's like,
they can delegate.
They can delegate, right? So the director of linens, if they're running low on laundry detergent, could text the CFO who's out earning
The assistant director of linens.
And say, hey, on your way home, can you bring this to support my operation? That is giving weight to that role, because listen, in a home, we need clean clothes. I have invested in someone to clean this home these days, right? And I came home yesterday and I said, oh my gosh, it's like walking into your hotel room when it's been cleaned and there's that like, somebody does that labor though, right? I pay for that labor. So why we need to give credit to the work that is being done at home. If we go to a restaurant, we pay a price for the food that the chef prepares. So we need to give weight to these roles.
And if I were to have done that work and then you would come home and say, this looks great, what are you cooking for dinner? Maybe I'd be a little less inclined to have sex with you, like obligated to have sex with you that night too. Because it's a lot of output.
Right? It's like, tell me how your day was. Wow, this is delicious. How did you prepare it? Yeah. What did you use? Right? Tell me. Listen.
Okay. All right. Pardon.
Didn't
mean to cut you off, but I did. So I meant to cut you off. You said one time that a partner, male, female, the male would do all these acts of service in anticipation of like clearing his partner's plate, so she has more room for, you know, these sexual thoughts or, you know, sexy time, but then not getting it and then being disappointed in that. What's up with that?
Well, it's so funny that you said that, because back to, I think this can go either way, because when you were saying, what about the wife, right? We're speaking in such gender norms, and I like our audience to know this is so expansive. But if she's like, I want sex, and he's like, no, I'm not, like, no, I don't have the energy for that. I often see that the solution for that is clearing time for him to have more space for himself, right? For him to take time for himself. But so back to, if the man's clearing the plate, say your question again. Yeah,
the man's doing all these acts of service to take things off of his wife's like to-do list, to give her more runway for relaxation and, you know, hopefully sex. But then she's still not in the mood for sex, and then he's now disappointed.
Yeah.
What happens then?
You call that, or your whatever you've listened to calls that bribes for sex. It depends on the like angle. If it feels bribey, if it feels bribes for sex, we're gonna have to get into the ulterior motives of why were you doing these.
Or
things
if you're gonna be
place.
like, no, I did all
this.
That would
like
be a bribe for sex,
it,
which is
unless bratty's like your kink.
Yeah, if you're gonna
some people
brat.
like the bratty, so I don't know. Check with your person, because they might really like that
within a sexy environment. But like someone complaining that you're not fucking them, it dries up the puss and it makes the dick soft.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, then we need to do some more work. Is it that she doesn't want sex, or is it that she doesn't want that sex?
Expand on that. She doesn't want that type of sex. What does that mean? Or he doesn't want that type of sex. Or they don't want that type of sex. We got you.
Boring. That's what it means. She might be bored. She might not want to be mounted in the missionary position on her bed. That's what it means, audience. Okay. So there's fascinating studies that look at our desire for security and safety and our desire for adventure and risk. And what research shows is that people in female bodies, and call this biological, call it, I don't know, does it go back to our like caveman days? Not sure. But when people in female bodies in a hetero marriage get security and safety, something maybe they've been craving their whole lives, okay? All of a sudden, they're like, okay, now I feel secure. It's time to play. It's time to have some adventure and some risk and some excitement and some like naughtiness back in. On the contrary, research shows, and this is not everybody, right? There's always like, I don't know, the 20% that don't fit into this. Research shows that people in male bodies are the opposite. Once they get their mate, they're like, love mate, will have sex with mate, would have sex with mate 3 times a day in the same place. Love my mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're no different.
No
from
different.
This. No, maybe you'd like to spice it up in different places sometimes, but you would like the basement.
Oh,
or the bathroom.
I thought you were talking about the butt.
No,
Go ahead.
I don't even think you need that.
Go ahead, please.
Like, I think if I was like, babe, I decided I'm going to give you sex 3 times a day on our bed, that you.
On our bed. I mean, I'd take it.
You would take it.
It's like cheeseburgers. It's like, yeah, okay. I mean, I do like cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers and pizza, but eventually I'm going to get a little pot belly.
Yeah. So
Pot belly.
I think that when I say it's not that she doesn't want sex, it's that she doesn't want that sex. It's boring her in some way, which is my favorite type of person to work with, because we go back and we discover and like uncover her erotic imagination. Is it that she does want sex in the back of a car, sex in the basement, sex on the stairs? Is it that she does want to be fingered while she's in the kitchen making dinner? Is it that she does want her hair brushed aside and some little kisses on her neck, right? That are so non-obligatory, right? They like happen and then she's gone, right? Maybe she wants that before he goes to work, if it's like a really standard thing.
He wants to be like pushed against a wall, blown a little bit, and then like she leaves with no notice.
Yes.
Like just pants around ankles.
Yes. Because this works both ways.
Yeah.
It's not always. So if that's happening, if these acts of service
Grab
are being
his hair,
done,
slap him in the face, kiss his mouth. Take your cock out.
everybody's got a thing. Even you like it.
Huh? You gonna share some personal stuff? Go ahead.
No. I just meant that even this is also what's fun is that inside of partnership, even the partner who likes the secure and safe and we call it warm sex in my industry, not hot sex, just warm sex.
Just sleepy sex.
Yeah, warm sex, right? It's not cold sex. It's not blah. It's not hot, but it's warm. And that can be cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Sleepy side sex.
nothing wrong with warm sex, yes.
Let me put it inside of you. It's like, all right. Yeah.
And in those situations, it can take so much longer for arousal. As you well know, mornings are not my tingle time. My arousal is so slow on the uptake in the mornings because I am just not there. I'm not in my sexy space, which for us is fine. For so many, they get in their heads of why is this taking so long? Why? I mean, babe, I have to do like mental gymnastics to keep my brain in sex in the mornings.
Nice. I don't.
No, I am literally everywhere.
Me too. I mean, I'm game planning.
I'm thinking of
for like what I want to do for the day.
everything of my day. It is crazy.
Me too. I'm game planning also.
Back to this.
I'm over here game planning.
You are?
Oh, yeah.
Just still fucking.
Huh? But I'm still fucking.
Does that help? Does that help define? Thank you for asking that question. Like, what is the sex that she wants to have?
Yes.
Or he wants to have? When I use that phrase, it's not that they don't want sex, it's that they don't want that sex.
Yeah. And then I want to circle back to like, what a great question of like, tell me about the best sex you've ever had and why. That's fascinating. Like way to bring it back to step one. Like what was really hot about that? What do you remember about that? Because I think we've all done it. Some of us maybe have had more partners than other, or not even that, but it's just these moments that you kind of, your brain latches onto. Like these special moments. And then it's like, hey, I really like that. And if it happened 10, 15 years ago, you're repeating that.
Ren says that we all have a core erotic theme.
Yeah.
Right? And through those types of exercises, which if the audience is interested, go to sexedforyou.com/free consult and start working with me. Because this is all the stuff that I do, is not telling you how to have better sex, is finding the sex that you want to have, is uncovering what it was about those peak sexual encounters, is what we call them, that was so hot to your body. So with core erotic themes, there are also scripts under those. So I like to say that like a core erotic theme is almost this umbrella of your favorite sexy things. But then we write these like sexual scripts for ourselves. Sometimes those scripts need to be tweaked because sometimes we've grown up a little bit. So it's time to like rewrite the script. But until we find out the things that were really hot for us, we can't even start to say, hey, this is how I want to tweak the script. So go ahead.
And partners, sometimes they don't know how to talk about this with each other. Fuck. Okay, so they need to bring in a coach. Because you're no different than, we've all had coaches, like if we played sports. And then we all have fucking bosses. And then we have bosses that we admire versus the dickheads.
Yeah, this is actually a great segue.
And like mentors. Mentorship is you bring on someone to cut your learning curve. That's what coaching and mentorship is. It's like, hey, teach me things faster. You fucked up. Teach me how not to do that faster.
I was having a fascinating conversation with a friend on Monday. And this person's been married for a really long time. Not a really long time, but 18 years, like, which is
a long time.
Well, that's like what I would have been nearing if I had still been married.
They're old.
15 years. They're my age.
I'm 19. Go ahead.
And they were bemoaning's a good word, contemplating, thinking on the fact that yet another 2 marriages were falling apart of their friends.
Okay, they're friends, not them?
Their friends, no, not them.
This
And
wasn't
so
like an asking for a friend
person-
thing? They weren't trying to bullshit you?
No, this person and their partner were having a conversation about why is it that this happens? Like, why yet another couple? Like, is this going to happen to us? What's going on? Why does this keep happening? And this wise friend of mine, shout out, they're an audience member, so they'll probably hear this reference, said this, and I wanted your thoughts on this. This person believes that it's when we stop growing. And it doesn't necessarily need to be growth in the same direction. But when one partner says, hey, I need to grow, I'm growing, and the other partner says, no, thank you, I am fine right here. That not only, in my mind, does sexual attraction start plummeting, but you lose the ability to have these types of conversations. Let's face it, it's 2023. Podcasts like ours are not rare. Like, well, yes, it is. This is one of a kind. But there is information out there to be learned more than ever. You say this all the time.
The easiest time to
YouTube
learn
University
stuff.
or whatever you call it.
It's the easiest time to learn stuff in the history of mankind
So
right now.
if one partner wants to grow, they can grow.
Yeah.
So like accessibly, it's so cool. You don't need to go to college. You don't need to go get an advanced degree. You can literally master a new skill by watching YouTube. How beautiful.
And Audible.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing.
Correct.
But if the other partner says no.
I agree with what you're saying. I'd say there's very rare exceptions where, say if the other partner doesn't want to grow, then the other partner needs to take care of themselves really, really well, mind, body, spirit, date the shit out of their partner, love the hell out of their partner. And like, you have to just be on. You and me are constantly trying to keep up with each other.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's not a competitive thing. It's not like a conscious thing. It's not like we're not fucking racing around the track. But
I'm gonna beat you.
We're always, working on some type of thing. Yeah. Yours is much more expansive than mine.
I don't think so. I think that yours seem more pinpointed to you, but what they do is ripple out into all of your being, right? So you're like probably thinking in your head, I'm just working on golf right now. And to that I would say bullshit, because you also brought in a meditation practice.
And Have I been kinder and more patient?
Yes, because
that's nice.
You've been working on kindness and patience toward yourself in golf,
Yeah.
which then has residual effects.
Reflects
That's what's
out.
so cool. I don't want anyone who listens to our podcast to be like, oh shit, I'll never be able to. No, try one thing. One thing. Individuation is so important. Learning something and then getting to share it with our partners is a joy. And putting joy in our lives that is our responsibility, really cool too. Because then when our partner isn't the sole source of lover, provider, protector, homemaker, parent, co-parent, they're parenting you, best friend, all of it's too much.
Too much.
It's too
fucking much. Yeah, my significant relationships in the past have either ended because we're growing apart, we're doing different things, or we're not listening to one another. Huh. Yeah. Or the burden becomes too much.
Yeah. So back to one of your other questions.
What is that? How do you get someone to grow? Isn't that impossible?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, grow with me.
Now,
What the fuck are you talking about? You mean like learn how to cook French food? What do you mean?
well, that's why when you said bring in a coach,
What if someone's not receptive to that? What if someone's like, you want me to pay someone to talk about my problems? That's dumb. What do you say to that?
I say back to our original communication thing that you and I have talked about ad nauseum on this podcast. It is our responsibility and our responsibility alone to be true to ourselves. So we need to go inside and we need to say, what am I noticing? Then do I trust it? And do I value it enough to go for it? Then we need to communicate it to our partner. So, hey, I am noticing that we are really growing apart. I feel like we are different than we were before. I would like us to go to some sexuality education with Lauren. It would provide me with fill in the blank. If the other human who has agency and autonomy says, I am not willing to do that, I'm not going to pay someone to talk, you are supposed to be my person, then the other person has to say, okay, God bless you. I'm going to go work with Lauren, or I'm going to go do whatever. You are welcome to change your mind. But we have got to be true to those things inside of ourselves. And then the other person needs to have the opportunity to feel like they have agency and autonomy over themselves. We cannot rob someone of that. It's sad. It's really sad. But if someone doesn't want to grow, they deserve to not want to grow. And it might be their triggers and their traumas. And my trauma-informed care approach says, nope, you don't get to force someone to grow when they're not ready to grow. So it's actually kind. It is actually kind to be like, okay.
And like, guys, if your wife were to say that to you just like that in a really kind of healthy, clear, and concise way, and you still don't have time for it, you're probably going to need to make time for a divorce attorney. Because I've been taught that there are plenty of men out there that don't have time for counseling or coaching or mentorship or therapy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But they have plenty of time and money for a divorce attorney. And if you're not going to date your partner, then someone else will. No problem. I got a friend. He was telling me about his partner, and we filtered it out where he didn't feel secure, and then she didn't feel desired. And he was giving me excuses on why she didn't, like, he wasn't dating her. Or it's like, yeah, we went to the movie and then we came home. I was like, that sounds like the dumbest fucking date ever. Right. And I said, and his wife's stunning. And I said, buddy, this is a good friend of mine. I go, buddy, someone will date your wife, dude. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. And he kind of, he looked at me oddly. Yeah. I go, somebody will date your wife, dude. Yeah. Don't worry about it. And hopefully it'll work out. I mean, hopefully, I don't know. If it's one-sided where someone's all constantly submitting to, where it's like, oh, you're right. Yeah, You'll find plenty of time for a divorce attorney. And make sure and like and subscribe.
On that
happy
notes.
On that happy
notes with Lauren and Trey.
Happy day to you, wherever you're listening to this.
Happy Wednesday morning at the crack of dawn.
Yeah, make sure and like and subscribe.
No, but please do like and subscribe. You know, it's so interesting talking about YouTube and stuff like that. I feel like these are the lessons that need to be out there to the world. You know, like people need to hear these things. And I know it's kind of like a tough love approach. And please hear me. Trauma is fascinating to me. And as a person with a ton of trauma, I had to have grace over myself that could I have ended my 10-year marriage earlier if I had had these tools? Yes, but they were not mine to have until I had them. So we cannot force people to grow. We cannot. And it is so much better when we can go inside and realize that and grow on ourselves, like grow in our own selves and release them out into the world and send them love and abundance and say, that is fine. And I love that for you. And I am going to keep growing. And that might look like us going our separate ways and us hiring a divorce lawyer. Yeah. Are you also okay with that?
Yeah, fuck yeah. That'll maybe wake somebody up, or they'll say yes, hopefully. Hopefully there won't be so much pain. Like my trauma epicenter was my mother. Mm-hmm. I don't think about my mother anymore. I very rarely interact with her. If I do, it's through text. I've learned to forgive her. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And then not repeat what she did, mm-hmm. not reflect that onto other people, yep. and then not to marry my mother and then surround myself with people like my mother. Right. And I wish her the best. Yeah. And if she wanted to text me, we could have a conversation about something. I don't know. If she showed up at the front door, I don't think she's getting invited in, though. It's one of those things. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things where that's a boundary. Yeah. Where I'd be like, hey, what are you doing here? Mm-hmm. What are you doing here? Mm-hmm. And that's that. And then, yeah.
Yeah. So, non-sexual foreplay. I think growth is non-sexual foreplay. Mm-hmm. Be curious to your partner. Be fascinating to them. Mm-hmm. Watch a YouTube video. Listen to this podcast and then say while they're prepping dinner, hey, can I keep you pleasant company and talk about the partnership podcast episode I listened to? Yeah. Talk about non-sexual foreplay. Telling your partner that you're going to work on yourself, hot as fuck.
Mm-hmm. And then if you know my mom, tell her not to show up unannounced.
So that's non-sexual foreplay. The other 5 love languages, we didn't really get through them. Physical touch, acts of service, quality time, gifts, and words of affirmation. There's so many others. We all kind of hate how they've been put in boxes, but ask your partner about them. Mm-hmm. Say, if your partner needs words, write them a little sticky note.
Yeah.
Like these things are non-sexual, but 100% connected to the sexual organs. Mm-hmm. You can machete your way through the woods.
Yeah, machete!
Anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of the Partnership Podcast. With Lauren and Trey. Remember, these are our opinions. Sure, I'm a certified holistic sexuality educator, but my opinions are a result of my schooling and my lived experience, and you should form your own opinions and get your own information.
I sleep with her. That's my qualification.
On the YouTubes and on the Spotifys. Go research. Also, this is a how we podcast, not a how-to podcast. So many of the things you hear on this podcast should prompt you to ask your partner the same questions. Not, I want to go be like Lauren and Trey because that'll make my relationship better. No, no, we are uniquely different, as are you. Last and not least, please, I would love to get to know you more. Go to sexedforyou.com/free consult to request a consult. We can chat about what's going on in your life, see if individual sexuality education is good for you. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Partnership Podcast. Please like and subscribe. Spotify changed their terms and we're going to lose our ads. Bye.